Hi there, this is Chuck. I'd like to give a big shout out to my 27 subscribers. Not bad, eh? I can't tell you how much joy it brings to my heart every time I see a new subscriber. It's tragic, it's wonderful, it's great to be alive. Anyway, the reason that book there is on the video is it's one in a series of books by Sitchin that there was, I think, 8 of them that made up the Earth Chronicles, and I set about reading all those a few years ago, and been reading other Sitchin things and listening to audio books of Sitchin, and then I found out that there's a German fella who had translated everything Sitchin did prior to Sitchin doing it. I don't know what the German guy apparently just translated the cuneiform from Mesopotamia that Austin Henry Laird had dug up in these libraries under the sand, but hadn't been able to translate, so the German fellow translated it with no play-by-play, no comments. He just translated what the cuneiform said, and then Sitchin comes along and for some reason retranslates it, and it all goes hand in hand with what the German fellow said originally. So the people who foo-foo Sitchin's translations are barking up the wrong tree, because they were already verified by a non-Jewish fellow who didn't work for Mossad or the CIA or the Five Eyes, whoever all Sitchin was working for. But Sitchin threw in a lot of his own interpretations of things, which can be argued one way or the other because they were interpretations. At any rate, that book is there because I wanted to get to what's going on in the world today and why the prognosis is extremely poor as things sit right now. And the reason I think I know what's going on is because of all these books from Sitchin and all the different translations and all the information around the world that has been destroyed on the same subject, that is being hidden, that wars are orchestrated to take out of the museums, and this information's in, and why the Mayans, everything the Mayans had written was destroyed, why there's so little written record of anything anymore. And it's all got to do with why people are they're being chemically gene spliced for a second time. And this is borne out by any modern day geneticist. I happened to watch a guy giving a presentation, a college professor, pointing out that Genetics 101, everybody knows that the human genome has over 400 damaged chromosomes. Everything else has between around 8, or most other animals have around 8 or so damaged chromosomes in their genetic makeup. But geneticists know that all this damage is from chemical gene splicing, because geneticists do chemical gene splicing. So they recognize this. They know how the human condition came to be. But you don't hear any of that either. Now, with me, rule number 1, I don't believe in anything anymore, because I heard the ex-head of the CIA from the 60s, Casey, saying that his job's done when everything everyone believes is wrong. So I understand that it's all horse manure, and the farther you look into it, the deeper the manure gets. So I don't believe in anything, but there is a debate, and one side or the other, somebody wins the debate. You know, somebody's presenting enough material backing up their view that, in my view, that wins the debate until somebody else comes up with something better. So I don't believe anything. I just go with who's got the most evidence they can present, and the most convincing case. And in this case, what you've got is specifically a gene called the VMAT2 gene, which is responsible for our ability to believe almost anything. I'm not going to go into it because it's too complicated. But if you look up these few things, the VMAT2 gene, fluoride, where it came from, and the fact that it's in a cocktail, it's not by itself, and then write these names down. I don't want to go into any of this too much, but this is in order to prove my point. I still want people to be able to go back to this and find the names Bertrand Russell, Cecil Rhodes, as in Rhodes Scholar, Aldous Huxley, Julian Huxley, Henry Kissinger, Klaus Schwab, Margaret Sanger, and a fella named Malthus. I didn't catch his whole name. I just listened to what his books were about. These people all publish books about what they are up to and what they've been up to for the last 100+ years. And they use these books. Everything I'm going to tell you about what's going on is already published, comes from these books. I don't need to make anything up. This story's horrific enough as it sits. If I can just give a glimpse of it, it's terrifying. But those names are there. Anytime you want to back up and check them and go look, go Google their names, however you hunt things down, and get a brief summary of what these people were saying. And you'll begin to understand why these books are published. That's the important part. They're not there to brag about what these robber barons are doing. What they're there for is to gauge if there's any reaction. Are people still reading? Is the dumbing down working? And it is working, because if people were taught this in school and talked about this all the time, these people would be running for their lives. The ones who are still alive now. The ones who are dead would be disgraced, dishonored, and erased from history. They're absolutely disgusting. And I don't want to go too far into any of that, because I'm going to lead up to those things so you see why what I'm saying isn't a belief. It's the debate. It's what's been presented to me. So I think I understand these people. They are what was left of the robber barons after Teddy Roosevelt was installed as vice president by the robber barons, supposedly to keep him out of their way, because vice presidents don't do anything. So that was their strategy to protect themselves from Roosevelt's breakup, which is all theater. They install him one heartbeat away from the presidency. Oh, and guess what happens? Pow, there goes McKinley. And all of a sudden, these genius robber barons, whose answer to this complex problem of controlling Roosevelt, oh, it just blows up in their face because somebody shot McKinley, and there's Roosevelt in charge of the U.S., and now all these robber barons are going to have to go off and hide. Carnegie, and I don't want to go into all their names and stuff. Everybody knows who the robber barons were. So what they do is go underground and they go global. And they set out to create all these isms. They create Marxism, Bolshevism, communism, and they are experimenting with ways of controlling population around the globe. If you look into what Mao Zedong did, what Stalin did, what Adolf did, and you go, why would they do such insane crap? Because these robber barons had gone global and were experimenting with depopulation. Now, I'm already up to over 10 minutes, so I'm going to cut this short. But if anybody has any questions or anybody gives a crap, I'll be happy to continue on this road, and I intend to wind it all the way back to the creation of humanity, because to start at the beginning is too overwhelming. I can wind this all the way back from why we are being chemically gene spliced currently, back beyond the first chemical gene splicing. So it'll be fun. Let me know if you enjoy listening to this or not. Hasta la Winnebagos.